But the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak Schneerson, that we're celebrating today, Gimel Tammuz, was when he was released from prison and sent into exile. As we said before, Yud Beit Tammuz. Yud Beit Tammuz, by the way, is his birthday also of the previous Rebbe, as he was released totally. But there's some very interesting stories. When he was released, so eventually he was evicted from Russia, and he went to Poland. When he got to Poland, shortly after his daughter got married to the Rebbe, to our Rebbe, daughter got married to our Rebbe. So he went to Israel for a brief time. Was it a couple of weeks, I think, 10 days, and then he went to the USA, and he stayed in America for almost a year. He stayed in America, and he was in he stayed in Chicago, went to Chicago, went to other places. 1929, that's when it all happened. And then he went back to live in Poland, and he was in Poland until he lived in Warsaw, until there was also a brief time when he was in Riga, but he was in Poland, and until they started the bombing. That was the beginning of World War II, basically, when the Germans bombed Poland. That was the beginning. He was there, and he miraculously got out. Okay, so this story that I'm going to tell you was when he was in Chicago. So he was in Chicago, and it was written in the papers that he was advertised in the papers that he was going to be at such and such an address, and that if people wanted to come to see him, that they could come and see him. So he was pretty well known, especially was well known about his heroic defiance of communism. And at that time, America was they were trying to take a stand against communism. It was sort of, forming a clear opinion about how bad communism is, etc. So he was in this house, and people came to see him. There was a group of young men that also came to see him. Now, you have to realize that in those days, in America, Judaism was like really, like the time of Napoleon. America was like Napoleon's dream for the Jews. The Jews succeeded tremendously physically. The Jews were in show business, and the Jews were in many different types of business, in science and music and art, and the Jews. And they were succeeding everywhere, but they were leaving Judaism, en masse. And there were these very popular performers, and that there were Jews, they didn't keep Shabbos, they married non-Jews. So Judaism was, it was waning. It was getting weaker and weaker. But still, there were a lot of Jews, and especially Jews that came from Europe, or whatever, that they went to see the Rebbe. They understood the Rebbe was a great person. But there was a group of young American boys, and they must have been maybe in their teens, maybe a little bit older, and they came to scoff basically at the Rebbe. The whole thing about people going to see a Rebbe and Judaism and blessings and stuff like that, it was antithetical to the American way of just the melting pot, like they said. Just be like everybody else and leave it alone, So they were waiting there. They came there and they were very surprised. There were a lot of people there to see the Rebbe. So they stood out on the porch smoking cigarettes and talking and scoffing. They figured they would wait their turn. So someone came out and said, the Rebbe's secretary came out, and he said, the Rebbe would like to see you, all of you. I think there was like 5 of them. So they said, but there's all these people in front of me, and they're all before me. So the Rebbe said, well, but the Rebbe said he wants to see you first. So they said, okay. So they went in, and they were still, sort of scoffing one with the other. when they saw the Rebbe, they calmed down. They calmed down. They realized that this was a very good person. And you could also see the care that the Rebbe had. First of all, the suffering that he suffered in Russia, but the suffering was because of his love for the Jewish people. And that love had not abated at all. If anything, it was even more. So, but in Russia, you couldn't do much about it, but here in America, you could. So they said, why did you take us? All these other people are are waiting for us. They have big problems. So the Rebbe said, all these other people, they're coming to me. They want advice about money, where to invest. Some of them have problems in health. Some of them have problems in family. The Rebbe said, I'm a businessman. I know about business. I'm a doctor. I know about medicine. I'm a family person, a psychiatrist. I can deal with, sociological problems, family problems. Said, these people come to me. God helps me, so I give them advice. He said, but what I am an expert in is Judaism. And I would like to talk to you. That's what I want to talk to you about, is about Judaism. And he asked them, do they do any commandments? Do they do any? And they saw that he was so genuinely nice to them and really caring that in a way they could say anything they wanted to. They didn't have to hide anything from him. And that he wasn't, going to say, you're going to burn in hell or something like that. It wasn't, they left all that outside. It wasn't in that room. In that room was just care. And they talked, and they talked for a while. They talked for a while, and they conversed about all sorts of things. What are you doing in your personal life? What are you, etc. And they all said, thank you very much. They met with him, and they all went outside, and they talked, and they said they were very, very impressed by what happened. That all of them decided that they were going to take on Torah and mitzvahs more seriously. They all decided that they were going to put on tefillin every day, and some decided that they were going to keep Shabbos, start to keep Shabbos, and eventually from that meeting, all of them became religious. All of them became observant Jews in a very happy way. And the one that told the story, he said, I was one of those young men at that time telling the story. He must have been in the 60s, 70s, whatever the story. So the point of the story is that what is a Rebbe? A Rebbe is a person that essentially wants every Jew to just be Jewish. And he wants every human being just to be a human being. And being Jewish is infinite connection with the creator of the universe. And being a human being is also an infinite connection with the creator of the universe. The potential which is in every human is for good, is infinite, and it's all being hidden. To reveal that potential, that's what a Rebbe wants to do and what only a Rebbe can do. That's the idea of Moshe of every generation. That's who the previous Rebbe was. That's who our Rebbe is. Gimel Tammuz was also the day that some people say that the Rebbe passed away, which of course is not so. But just the fact that they say so means that the Rebbe is purifying that world. The previous Rebbe, he refined communism and transformed it. The Rebbe is going to transform death itself, all of the bad things in the world. That's the whole idea of the Mashiach. Take all of the negative things in the world, like we learned about Nachum Ishkamzu, and transform the poisonous serpents of the egotism of this world to tremendous treasures and blessings. That's can be brought about only by genuine love and care one to the other, and that will be brought about by Mashiach. That's why we need Mashiach now. Have a good day, everyone. Have a happy Gimel Tammuz, and that we'll see each other, God willing, tomorrow, 8:15. Shalom uvracha.
Thank you.
In the Beis HaMikdash.
My pleasure. We need the Beis HaMikdash now.
Amen.
Here, 1 second. This is
Any update?